side sheet damage up the top and at the rear. So as we pull the sheets off, you can see that the frame's a little bit rotten. Pretty typical as well. So this actually looks a lot worse than it is. So when we take the sheets off, we'll often find bits and pieces like this, and then we'll go through and fix it all before we put the sheets back on. So as you can see, this frame looks terrible, and people are going to be looking at it going, this is pretty well rooted. But it's actually pretty typical. All caravans do tend to leak at some point. They're a big square box that's going to travel down the road and move like this, so it's essentially a kitchen cabinets on wheels. So it's not uncommon for caravans to leak. There's 25, 30 tubes of silicone in every caravan. There's loads. Even though it looks like it's sort of a dodgy repair job, it's kind of what they're made out of. And the reason they're made out of silicone is it gives you that flexibility for joints and for them to move. So if you look on the roof, you'll see big beads of silicone, 2 or 3 inches across. That's pretty normal. However, you've got things that move, so especially things like these rear clearance lights up here, side lights here as well. All these little things, there's small silicone seals around them, and it's not uncommon for them to leak. What can happen is you'll have a caravan leaking like this, but you don't know that you've got a leak because inside there's, where the damage might be evident, it's going inside a cupboard where somewhere you can't see it. So what can happen is you've just got the water that's sitting inside the frame and it's got nowhere to go. And basically you can see the frame just deteriorates. Now this is a timber frame caravan. This is what 95% of caravans are made out of in Australia. Again, it looks a lot worse than it is. As I say, timber's not real good in water. But yeah, again, it's quite fixable as well. And realistically, just because the frame looks that bad, it doesn't mean the caravan's going to fall apart. We've seen them a lot worse than this. Basically, the whole back might be rotten, the whole underneath will be rotten, the floor might be rotten, and the thing's still not going to fall apart because again, it's the side sheets that are holding on. It's all the aluminium extrusions holding it together. The floor is holding it together. The chassis is holding it together. So although it is the frame of the caravan, it looks quite bad. This will actually repair up quite well. So basically we'll pull all this rotten stuff apart and replace it all with fresh timber. We'll reseal it again, and this van will last for another 15, 20 years until the next leak. When putting it back together, as I say, we'll basically put it back to factory spec, but probably a little bit better. We'll neaten up some of this wiring and some of these bits and pieces. So when it's made in the factory, it's typically fairly well mass produced, and those guys sort of do tend to slap them together a little bit. For us here, obviously, we're caravan repairers, so we've got the time to take it a little bit slower, go through, fix some of the original factory defaults. It's often at times like this as well, we'll actually do some modifications for the customer, so they might want wiring through, so it does give us the opportunity to run wiring through the frame, which you can't do otherwise. So reshooting a caravan is something we do quite a lot of. We do a job like this 2 or 3 a week, so